Human beings have long been the dominant species on planet Earth, but it wasn't always the case. There was once a time when we were like ants to some big, fearsome beasts. Here are the top 10 most terrifying ancient creatures that you've probably never heard of. Number 10. Sarcosuchus. Back in ancient times, nature had a habit of creating creatures we're familiar with now, but just scaling them up until they were ridiculously gigantic, exactly like this prehistoric croc. Sarcosuchus, or the megacroc, is an extinct crocodilian that, thankfully for all of us, lived around 112 million years ago. Due to the absence of full skeletal remains, their length has been estimated by scientists using their skulls as a guide. Using these skulls, which themselves measure over 1.5 meters, it has been estimated that this walking nightmare could have been around 11 meters in length, making it over twice as long as the longest species of modern saltwater crocodile alive today. That means that this Goliath would have weighed about 8.8 tons, or twice the weight of a hippopotamus. It would have made even someone as brave as Steve Irwin think twice about going near it.
Number 9. Liopleurodon. When it comes to ancient terrors, if you want truly scary, you need to look deeper into the water, if you dare. The Liopleurodon was a very large, very carnivorous variety of marine creature that lived during the Jurassic period. We know it to have been big, but its true size has been up for debate. A BBC documentary estimated it to be around 20 to 25 meters long, but more in-depth studies say it was more likely 5 to 7 meters long, which is about 23 feet. Either way, it was known to be a powerful swimmer, with 4 paddle-like limbs for maximum propulsion. The shape of its head has also led scientists to believe that it had a strong sense of smell, which would allow it to lie in wait and ambush prey. That means you wouldn't be able to swim away from it, if you even knew it was hunting you.
Number 8. Megapiranha. While not quite reaching the same size as their movie namesake, the Megapiranha was exactly as terrifying as you imagined that it might be. Located in South America and living around 8 to 10 million years ago, this 1 meter or 3 foot long fish was far bigger than the ones we know today, and had the same sharp teeth and thirst for blood. It's thought to have had a huge bite force of over 1,000 pounds, but apart from that, we still have a lot to learn about it. Number 7. Helicoprion. The lottery of evolution went through a few different combinations of odd creatures before settling on the animals we recognize today. Looking like a cross between a shark and a circular saw, this is the Helicoprion. Occupying the oceans of the early Permian around 290 million years ago, the exact placement of its vicious-looking teeth has been the subject of many varied guesses from the scientific community. This is due in part to the lack of fossil records for these so-called tooth whorls. Thought to be a relative to the sharp-nosed goblin shark, the Helicoprion went through several different iterations as people tried to establish just where that dreadful saw blade sat on its face. A long-held theory supposed that it sat right at the front of the jaw, pointing out, before it was finally decided that in fact it was at the back of the mouth. It's thought that it was used to cut prey by swimming into it, also helping it move along to the back of its mouth as it's eaten. Number 6. Azhdarchidai. If the other entries on this list had you staying out of the water or trying to get off the ground, you should know that depending on the era, you wouldn't even be safe in the sky. That's because in the early and late Cretaceous period, all manner of small creatures ran screaming from the Azhdarchidai, a family of pterosaurs. They were the largest known flying animals of all time, characterized by their long legs and extremely long necks, but it was their wingspans, which could reach 10 meters, that really struck fear into their prey. By far, one of the most impressive specimens of the family was Quetzalcoatlus, who stood at around 3 meters tall. As if their sheer size wasn't enough, according to scientists, their hunting behavior was similarly terrifying. They did not skim the water for food as other birds do. Rather, it was theorized that they in fact were ground feeders. They would stalk prey on the land, putting their long limbs to use to chase down small creatures and pluck hatchlings out of the undergrowth. Number 5. Archdus simus. Bears remain one of the biggest and most dangerous land mammals still around today. Thanks to their natural survival skills and intimidating size, they haven't changed much in the last several thousand years. So it might not surprise you that in the early Ice Age, an even bigger version roamed the lands. Archytas simus was an impressive and terrifying creature. Known as the short-faced bear, it was by no means small. In fact, standing between 2.5 to 3 meters tall, it dwarfed the modern polar bear and weighed almost twice as much as well. Thankfully for us, despite the sheer size of them, it seems that they were not hunters. Although they lived at the same time as man, their limbs and joints lacked the ability to make the tight turns and movements necessary to bring down more agile prey. It is instead thought they were scavengers or opportunistic omnivores, probably chasing other predators off of their prey. And if this thing comes to take your fresh kill, are you really going to say no? Number 4. Smilodon Populator. Our society has always been fascinated by big cats. All across the world exist myths, legends, and recent sightings of gigantic beasts haunting everything. But some ancient breeds make the pumas, panthers, and chimeras look like house cats. The largest cat of all time was the Smilodon Populator, more commonly known as the saber-toothed tiger. This South American beast was the largest of the Smilodon family, weighing up to 400 kilograms, which is 880 pounds. The same as a horse. Much like other saber-toothed cats, it had long canines measuring up to 11 inches each. As you might expect, it was an apex predator and hunted large mammals, which it could bring down easily with precision bites from its razor-sharp teeth. They thrived for almost 40 million years and only went into extinction around 12,000 years ago. Scientists have speculated this may have been partly due to human activity, who would have used wooden spears as their main form of defense from the cats. This means that not only did they live around people, but they probably would have hunted us as well. Not something to think about when you're next playing with your pet kitty. Number 3. Titanoboa. For every phobia, the earth has created a monster to truly fuel your nightmares. This next one's for all of you who are scared of snakes. Although sharing its name and looks with the boa constrictor, the 50-foot-long Titanoboa, the largest snake ever discovered, didn't crush its victims to death. Rather, it's thought it preferred to lie in wait in shallow water and strike its prey with sudden speed like a crocodile. The Titanoboa's rise to dominance followed the extinction level event that killed off all the dinosaurs during the Paleocene era of around 66 to 56 million years ago. It would have lorded over all of the tiny mammals of the era, thanks mostly to its 3 feet diameter thickness and 1.25 ton weight, or about twice as heavy as a grizzly bear. Number 2. Mosasaurus. You may remember this creature from its appearance in the Jurassic World movies, but was the real creature quite as terrifying? Well, yes. For starters, they were huge. The largest known mosasaur was measured at around 17 meters or 56 feet long. Even though that's huge, they weren't as long as the one portrayed in Jurassic World. The one in the film is at least 3 times the realistic length. It's still terrifying though. As a carnivorous aquatic reptile, it would have been on the hunt for everything from fish to sharks and even smaller mosasaurs. They have also been known to scavenge the bodies of contemporary dinosaurs that were washed out to sea, as was evidenced when the fossil of a hadrosaur was found underwater with mosasaurus bite marks. So, if you ever happen to be time traveling, you should absolutely stay out of the water. Now before getting to number 1, here's some honorable mentions. First up, the Meganeura. It's an example of what happens when nature isn't satisfied with just making fish, birds, and huge bears, and has to do the same to insects. This animal, looking like a very big dragonfly, had a stunning 2-foot wingspan alone. It's thought that it grew to such a huge size because it lived largely without any natural predators, and was in turn able to prey on any smaller insects. Next up, the Diplocaulus. This terrifyingly strange ancient creature largely resembled a sort of hammerhead salamander. The youngest fossil from it that has been found is from around 270 million years ago. Reaching around 1 meter in length, they had boomerang-shaped skulls and were considered large amphibian-like creatures. These photos from artists give a good representation of what the creature would look like if it was alive today. It's thought the peculiar shape of its head acted as sort of a hydrofoil, making it control how water flowed over its head to generate significant lift in the water. Now for the final honorable mention, Hallucigenia. Though far from the biggest entry in this video, this walking eyelash isn't for anyone who doesn't like creepy crawlies. It's known as the worm with the missing head, due to the fact that the front and back of it are very hard to identify. With a relationship to modern day arthropods, the hallucigenia is hardly dangerous, but thanks to its weird elongated limbs and triangular spines, it might just give you a few chills if you're looking at it. Number 1. Megalodon. Estimated to be 3 times longer than a great white shark, this toothy king ruled the oceans for 13 million years, only finally going extinct around 2.5 million years ago. As you can probably imagine, with 18 centimeter long serrated teeth, it made short work of fish, dolphins, and other sharks. Even fossils of whales from the same era have been found with megalodon bite marks in them. Alas, the titan of a shark wasn't killed off by Jason Statham and a plucky bunch of scientists, but rather by more cosmic forces. It's been theorized that the Meg lived during a period when a star within 160 light years of Earth turned into supernova. The fallout from this caused radiation levels to increase on Earth, killing much of the megafauna of the period, Megalodon included. So which creature did you find the most terrifying? Do you agree with the order? Let me know in the comments section down below, and thanks for watching.